What happens when one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history joins the most iconic team in the sport and it turns into a disaster? That's the reality Lewis Hamilton is facing right now at Ferrari. Instead of fighting for wins and championships, he's been stuck battling midfield cars, struggling just to score points. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, Hamilton was so frustrated that he actually told Ferrari they should replace him with someone else. But the real story isn't just about Lewis losing form, it's about Ferrari admitting they've made critical mistakes that left their superstar driver exposed. Today, we're breaking down what went wrong, why Ferrari is taking the blame, and the deeper issues that are keeping the team from returning to championship glory. When Hamilton shocked the F1 world by leaving Mercedes to sign for Ferrari, the move was billed as a historic partnership between a 7-time world champion and the most legendary team in motorsport. Fans expected fireworks, but instead, Hamilton's first season in red has been rocky. Aside from a sprint race victory in China, he's had a hard time unlocking the potential of Ferrari's SF25, falling far short of the lofty expectations. The Hungarian Grand Prix highlighted just how bad things have gotten. After being knocked out in Q2, Hamilton lined up 11th, and despite a long fight with a rookie in a Racing Bulls car, he could only manage a P12 finish, his worst result of the 2025 season so far. For a driver of his caliber, it was a shocking sight. Off the track though, Ferrari is reaping major rewards. According to Italian media outlet La Gazzetta dello Sport, Hamilton's arrival boosted sponsorship income by around $50 million a year. In April 2024, the team even signed a massive $80-90 million deal with HP, restoring Ferrari's title sponsorship after a 3-year absence. Merchandise sales have also exploded, with Hamilton's global fan base driving record-breaking demand for Ferrari-branded gear. So while Hamilton joked about Ferrari replacing him, that was never a realistic option. His presence is far too valuable both commercially and in terms of prestige. But Ferrari didn't bring him on board just to sell shirts and land sponsors. They hired him to bring home championships. And right now, they're nowhere near that goal. Heading into the mid-season, Hamilton trails the championship leader Oscar Piastri by a massive 175 points. Even worse, within the team itself, he's being consistently beaten by Charles Leclerc, who leads their head-to-head with 151 points to Hamilton's 109. That gap, nearly 45%, has raised eyebrows across the paddock. But now Ferrari themselves have admitted the truth. Hamilton's struggles are not solely down to him. Team principal Vasseur confessed that both Hamilton and Ferrari underestimated just how difficult it would be for him to adapt to a completely new environment after nearly 2 decades inside the Mercedes family. From his McLaren days through to his dominant run at Mercedes, Hamilton essentially lived in the same culture. English-speaking teams, familiar systems, and continuity with the same engine manufacturer. That stability shaped his entire career, but moving to Ferrari was like landing on another planet. New engineers, different processes, and a team philosophy that doesn't resemble anything he's experienced before. Vasseur admitted they made a huge mistake assuming Hamilton would just slot in and deliver instantly. Unlike Carlos Sainz, who built resilience from switching teams frequently, moving through Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren, and then Ferrari, Hamilton has never had to adapt like that. In Vasseur's words, Lewis isn't the kind of guy who changes teams every 2 years. He spent 18 years in one structure. We were wrong to expect him to have everything under control right away. The boss went on to say that while progress had been made earlier in the season, back-to-back tough weekends in Belgium and Hungary exposed how fragile the adaptation process still is. The transition has been anything but smooth, and Ferrari's own miscalculations have left Hamilton unable to perform at the level expected of him. So the big question now is whether Ferrari can fix their side of the equation fast enough to give Hamilton the chance to compete at the front again. Because right now, instead of writing a fairy tale with the Scuderia, the 7-time champion is trapped in one of the toughest seasons of his entire career. From a cultural standpoint, the leap from Mercedes to Ferrari was much larger than the step Hamilton once took from McLaren to Mercedes. That gap was something Ferrari didn't properly account for, admitted Vasseur. According to him, it took Hamilton 4 or 5 races before he started to look more in control. From Canada through Austria, his adaptations seemed to be working. Even in Spa, where he had a poor qualifying, Hamilton recovered well in the race. And while Hungary ended with him buried in P12, Vasseur pointed out that the results were misleading. The margins were so tight that Leclerc could have been 11th and Hamilton 12th, which would have told a very different story. Now that Hamilton is slowly settling into Ferrari's ecosystem, Vasseur believes his performances will naturally improve. The issues aren't down to one big, glaring weakness that can be patched overnight. Instead, it's 1,000 little differences compared to what Hamilton was used to at Mercedes. Sorting through those details is taking time, but Vasseur is convinced progress is finally visible. Still, the reality is clear. This year is gone. Ferrari can't catch up in the championship fight, even if Hamilton finds his rhythm. The only question now is whether they can reset in time for next season. But that raises the bigger problem. Can Ferrari actually break nearly 2 decades of falling short? Or will 2026 be yet another repeat of the same cycle? Ferrari's endless struggle. Last year, Ferrari impressed everyone by closing the gap to Verstappen and the McLarens of Norris and Piastri. Their in-season development genuinely transformed the car, putting them back into the fight. But whatever momentum they had didn't survive the winter. Coming into 2025, not only did McLaren and Verstappen's Red Bull move ahead, but even George Russell's Mercedes jumped past Ferrari in performance. This pattern, flashes of brilliance followed by regression, has defined Ferrari since their last championship almost 20 years ago. Consistency, both on and off the track, has been their Achilles heel. At the Hungarian Grand Prix before the summer break, Charles Leclerc showed glimpses of hope. He grabbed Ferrari's first pole of the season and led the opening phases of the race. But once again, in the final stint, the pace vanished, costing him a podium and leaving him 4th. A week later in Belgium, things looked brighter with another strong qualifying and a podium finish. That's why Vasseur says the raw pace of the SF25 isn't far off McLaren. The issue, he explained, is that Ferrari's form swings too wildly. One weekend they look like contenders, the next they're out of the picture. McLaren, by contrast, deliver in every condition, every session, every compound of tyre. Their strength is that they're always there, regardless of circumstances. Ferrari, meanwhile, still fall into the trap of wasting weekends, whether it's in free practice prep, poor qualifying management, or races where they can't maximise their strategy. Vasseur was blunt. Until Ferrari learns how to operate at a consistently high level, they'll always be vulnerable to teams like McLaren. Even Hamilton's eventual comfort with the car won't be enough to cover up structural weaknesses. So here's the bottom line. Ferrari knows where the problem lies, but fixing it has proven to be the hardest part. Until they can combine pace with reliability and consistency, championships will remain out of reach. Do you think Ferrari should have done more to prepare for Hamilton's transition into the team? And do you agree with Vasseur that it's Ferrari's own fault he's struggled to adapt so much? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, drive safe. I'll catch you in the next one.